Okay, so evidently when you're doing Zoom from Facebook or Zoom to Facebook, there is this entire situation that I have no idea that you're live because the screen is blank. So I was getting everything set up and going to click start, and it had started. So there you go. I've deleted that. We're starting all over. Welcome. I'm Michelle Vidal, and I go by Swanda, self-proclaimed wicked and nice diva of America. And today I'm going to be kind of the wicked diva. And I guess it's because I'm really coming into a reminder time for me. In a few short days, my son will have been passed for 3 years. And I've been really thinking about how this happens, what's going on, how it's going on, and basically how I feel about it. And I have to remember that that was a really dark time right after he passed. It took me quite a while to get all the way through it. I absolutely missed him. I still do, but I'm on the other side of the worst part of it, and my PTSD is healing. I'm reconnecting to spirit, and that's kind of what I want to talk to y'all about, is that connection that we have that's readily available to us if we understand what it is and how it is. So I'm going to kind of backtrack a little and talk to you about, are there times that you have felt alone, even in a room full of people? Maybe you had a headache and you just couldn't engage the room, and everybody was having fun, and you were kind of putting on that little happy face and saying, well, okay, I can get through this. And wondering how, looking for an aspirin, looking to borrow one from the hostess, whatever it was, but you were off your game and you just didn't feel like you could thoroughly be there. There are other times that you might have experienced. Maybe you had a lot of stress in your life. Your income was being challenged. You needed to ask for a raise from your boss. Your boss preempted your attempt at a raise with, oh, the business is doing so bad, we can't give raises for the rest of the year. Come to find out, he went on a cruise, or she went and bought a brand new house and needed that extra cash for herself for a down payment. And it left us feeling challenged and frustrated. And it's kind of the same situation that we deal with when we're working with our spirit guide. Again, one guide. I'm separating the guides out from the spirit teachers, the rest of the team, because your one guide's with you 24/7. So you're not really all alone. But sometimes our vibration isn't high enough to access them readily and easily. Sometimes our health is really challenged. We feel like we just can't feel anybody or feel them close by. We might have a long-term illness, and even a short-term, if you have a cold, it can be a struggle. Or maybe we're under some emotional stress. We just never know. And that's the time that they love us the most. Our guide really helps us get through that. Many times people go in and they are with the aspect that they think they have their guide down pat, and they hear their guide with their own voice. Well, anytime my guide is talked to me, it's not the head chatter that I come up with. It's not in the grammar or the phraseology that I would use. It's not the words that I would use. It sounds absolutely nothing like me. And he's very short, very brief, very clear, but there's a lot of love that comes through with that. Again, that's another key indication that I'm not speaking to myself, because when I'm speaking to myself about things I need to do, I forget to put the love aspect in. And it's surprising when he's that clear, comes in, tells me what I'm going to do. I don't hear him all the time, but I'm reconnecting. When he wants to make himself known, he's good at that. He's very clear. And now my other spirit team, I know the difference when they're coming in to get their point across. Usually I work with them in meditation, but once in a while I hear laughter. Yesterday while I was setting up here in the center, I heard a woman talking to me, but my mind was elsewhere, good old ADHD. And I'm going a mile a minute thinking about how I'm going to set up for this event that we had here this morning. And she said something, and by the time I realized no one else was in the center but me, I had stopped short to listen. But I think because I was trying to listen, the connection was lost. It's when I'm not focused, and it was outside my head, not inside my head. So that was really kind of a cool, different aspect that happened for me yesterday. But she's not my guide, she's my spirit teacher. And our guides are very amazing. When we incarnate, when we get ready, we answer the little bell of the sperm and the egg meeting. The vibration goes out, we answer it, and we start to formulate our destiny. We have to take on a little bit of our parents' karma, kind of blend it with our own. And I've talked to you guys about this before. It's a little bit of their looks, maybe their health, their whatever's in the DNA, whatever their personality traits can be. We take on a little bit of that. Sometimes it's codependency, sometimes it's addiction, sometimes it's extreme intellect, and then there's sometimes it's you're a healer or psychic, even if your parents remain untrained. But you take that on because it's about your destiny. So whatever they have with them, and you bring forth according to what your spirit wants to accomplish, you start putting your spirit team together. This is a very valuable, very blessed asset that you have. Now, not everybody is going to have, 3 teachers or 5 teachers or whatever, because sometimes we're not always working to develop our spirit gifts. But I guarantee you, everybody has that one guide, that one. And they're usually Native American. This has nothing to do with being here in America, okay? It's because Native Americans are masters of the earth, meaning that they can work the earth energies better than any other culture. Now, if your gift does not include needing to master the earth energies, like if you're not going to work in healing specifically, or maybe you're going to be a different type of medium, you're going to draw forth a different guide. And that's okay. They all have their gifts. But for most of us, the guide is Native American. It's other energies can touch in, other spirit team can come in and work with us. It's what we choose to call them that is, whether it be gatekeeper, door protector, door opener, messenger, nun, priest. They all have their different levels and different functions. These are very important for us to remember. However, having your spirit guide and knowing that they're Native American, you're pretty clear on being able to have them help you maneuver Earth and our life here, because they understand. And I'm not talking just about, it's a drought, bring in rain. I'm talking about how the energy flows through Earth. It's very powerful when we realize that there's different levels to this. I want to say that there's confusion from a lot of people. I understand that because we use phrases and words and concepts and ideas predicated on our awareness and how we understand it. So I'd like for you to think about this just a little bit. A couple of weeks ago, I used low Earth, middle Earth, and high Earth. And I want to tell you that the Blackfoot tribe used low Earth as a way to have people understand that level of self-actualization. And what that means is you're beginning to know the human form. You're working with how the human walks through this world. How we show up for each other. Are we kind, compassionate, giving, loving? How we show up for ourselves, who we are as spiritual beings, how much integrity that we walk with, how much we're willing to care for ourselves, and our awareness of who we are. That's like low Earth. That's when you're ready to leave low Earth, you kind of go to middle Earth. And it's at that point we understand community. And we understand the importance of community, of humanity community. Oftentimes we forget that we have to come to the lower Earth, I am spirit, and I'm having a human experience. Then we have to go to, I am community, I am connected to people outside myself. Now, oftentimes on low Earth, we work at labeling what we find, which would be, we're millennial, we're Gen X, we're Gen Y, we're boomers, we are middle class, we're rich, we came from poor backgrounds, we're educated, we're not educated. Our culture is involved in this, our gender and our gender identity, how we show up, how our whole world is kind of labeled. And I don't want people to misunderstand when I say that community is these labels. That's still low Earth. You're still in low Earth if you're trying to identify and make people aware of who you are showing up to. Community, what I'm talking about is understanding that we're in community with each other. We have a connection to the birds, to the animals, other animals. Everybody's connected to their dog, but they don't always realize that their dog has a spirit. I laugh at the memes that kind of go around that say, does your dog go to heaven? And there was one that these churches were going back and forth on. And this one church is like, no, dogs don't go to heaven. I find that kind of funny because I can't imagine for dog lovers, heaven would be anything but a bunch of dogs. Because we kind of work at it at our level. And I think sometimes the animal kingdom is much more connected and aware than we are. So that's more when we start dropping the labels and we don't feel the need to categorize our world. I'm so enlightened. I'm a healer. We are all ancient ones. We are all created at the same time. It's what we did with those lessons. It's the information and the awareness that we have. Somebody asked me the other day, what happens, when we die? Well, we have to come back and meet the level of awareness that we were at in a previous life or in other lives, the whole vibration of all your lives, and then try to rise above that. And that's our job. So when we understand that that's really kind of that important awareness, then we quit worrying about all the other tickets, all the other things. We're here to grow spiritually. We don't have to have people prove to them that prove to us that they care about us. We don't have to, go in and work and give up our integrity in doing a job that we don't want to do because we've given up that concept of drudgery, of fear. We were moving into we're connected and we're higher awareness. Now, higher earth is where we actually start going into that, when we're looking at higher earth, we're looking at connecting to earth energies, to the grids, to the awareness of all, to the heart chakra. So our heart, we're open to universal love. We no longer see anything as separate than ourselves. There's so much beauty and understanding. Wouldn't it be nice if you were walking down the street and you saw your neighbor had a bunch of things that were missing, little steps to their house, and they'd gotten washed away. So wouldn't it be nice if you just went and replaced them and you never worried about the payback? Wouldn't it be nice if somebody did that for you? It's our awareness that we're doing things for each other to make that happen, to make life easier on the animals, on the earth, and on each other. I went out to the Bosque and I was reading a book. I'm going to cry because it was so powerful. I apologize. The ancient energy came up around me and I was so, so blessed because that ancient energy let me know that it had remembered me, that I had worked with it before. Well, if I'd worked with the ancient energy, aren't I ancient energy? Well, sure I am. So are you. But it's whether or not you're going to let go of ego long enough to engage in connecting to the earth energy, to connect to the ancient ones. I laugh because somebody says, well, let's go out and we'll go out in the heat and we'll go do ceremony out on the desert. And I'm like, I'm not going out and sitting with the spiders and stuff. I'm happy to do ceremony in the shade somewhere. Let's do it somewhere where I'm not out there with a bunch of critters. I'm still human. I still don't want to sit in dirt. I don't get up very easily anymore, but I do connect very well. And I have that experience where this beautiful friend of mine gave me some time at her kiva after my son died. And I was walking around her land and I was impressed to sit down. So I sat down, I had my head like this with my knees. I had my arms propped on my knees, my head down. And I saw these ants. One was little tiny, tiny ant. One was not a regular sized ant, but a bigger. And they were walking past each other. They were probably 6 inches apart. They didn't even connect in the aspect of, hey, danger, the big one's over there, or hey, there's something to be eaten over here. There wasn't that exchange of energy. It was just like, hey, Joe, what are you doing? Well, I'm going back to the hill, I got to take my little grain of seed or whatever he was carrying, and I'm going to take it back. What are you going to do? Well, I'm going to go over to my hill. And they just passed. They didn't pay me any mind at all, but I could still feel connected to them. And it was awesome because there was no threat. So I got to sit in that space and connect to earth again and connect to the trees. And I could hear the trees and feel the trees within me just vibrating. And I felt the rocks. And so I continued my walk and I found a spot that was very feminine. And it was around her, it was on one side of her Sundance circle. And I don't know if I'm supposed to do this or not, but nobody was there. And I could feel my son beckon me to come into the circle. So I went into the circle, and out of the trees, I could feel the energy of a million women, or at least it felt like a million women. And he said, Mom, you're not the only one who's lost a son. You're not the only one that's lost a child. And he brought forth generations of my lineage, my grandmother, my mother, my great-grandmother, my grandkids, my grandchildren in the future, where I'll probably be one of them. But they were all there and giving me such healing that it was powerful. And back here to the left of me, I could feel Raven silently watching, silently supporting me. And I didn't recognize it right at the time. It took me a while to realize that he had been there the entire time. So it was at a moment where my ego wasn't engaged. I wasn't trying to find my son. I wasn't trying to mourn him. I was just trying to connect on whatever level to whatever energy was beckoning me into that circle. And it was probably very much one of the biggest steps I took at that time in healing, to reconnect, because Spirit wants us to reconnect with them. Our spirit teachers want us to work with them, but our guide is going to be the one that loves us through the process 24/7. They have their stuff that they do, but they're just a split second away, a little thought, a need, an emotion, a vibration. Everybody else kind of comes in when they're supposed to, because he orchestrates it, or she. But they're there and they're happy to work with us. And the love, once you start reconnecting, the love is unmistakable. It is complete, unlike any love you'll ever know anywhere. You just feel that moment where your heart is open and singing. So I want to go back to a couple of the talks this week. All of them are very good. Brother Francis made some really valid points yesterday about loving yourself. So I encourage you to go back and listen to his talk. But I want you to go back and I want you to re-listen to Audrey's talk. We didn't plan this. I was listening to her talk and I was laughing because there were things that she said in there that I needed to hear. But I think there's things that we all need to hear at one time or another. And she pretty much nailed it in a nutshell. See, I don't want you to connect to your spirit team, to your guide, because it's going to do me any good. I don't want you to connect to your guide because you're going to do all this miraculous work. I want you to connect to your guide so that you know that same love that you're not going to probably get from anybody human. It's not the same level of love, and it's complete. It's bliss. It's heart opening. It's that moment where you come through and you're in your power. So I want to say that, how do we know that we're talking to our guide instead of our ego? Well, first off, you really need to train with somebody who can teach you the difference. I've met people who work with spirit, and they're really kind of talking to their higher self, their ego. Well, I shouldn't even say higher self. It's kind of lower self with ego, because the higher self has a conversation all of its own. So let's just say the lower self of ego. That would be a better way of putting it. So we talk about this, and ego says, you need to go over here because you're supposed to be seen by the world, and you're supposed to make lots of money. And it's not always true. your spirit guide will tell you, like mine did, Michelle, you got to start walking again. You can't run, because you're not going to see the tree in the road and you're going to run right into it. If you walk, you're going to come up to that tree, and by the time you get to that tree, you're going to have the tools to get over that tree. That's what my spirit teacher told me, not my guide. So we have to let go of the ego. And when Raven talks to me, it's in a different voice. It's much gentler. He's so much nicer to me than I am. And he doesn't tell me that I have to do these things so that I can be important. He tells me, you're perfect where you're at, and you're going to get better at what you do. And when you're ready, we'll take you to the next step. So they keep walking with me. Ego says, I can take a class, and yes, that first inspiration, that you feel that joy of connecting, that class inspired you, that you think you can create miracles. Well, I think I got the same hit when I used to sell, I don't remember what they go by now, but it used to be Oasis. They were a wonderful healthcare nutraceutical company. I loved their products. And I've only done one multi-level marketing, that was it. And I went to Denver to their big show, and it was powerful. Man, they had me ramped and ready to go. I was so in that energy, and I was writing down all these notes, and I was ready to go to work when I got back to Albuquerque. And I got back and the momentum slowed. And do you know why? Because I wasn't trained in that knowledge. I was just got a bunch of knowledge, overloaded in knowledge, and didn't have time to process it. And it wasn't brought through gradually. It was just dumped on me, pumped me up, and I came back, and within a week I had forgotten 90% of what they had told me to do to share this marvelous product. And I went, oh, it's the group energy. This is why we get caught up in churches and feel good on Sunday when we go to church and we come out of church and we feel good, because everybody's there building the same vibration. I'm not saying don't go to church. I'm not saying don't go to a multi-level marketing. I'm saying that when you're in group energy of like-minded individuals, it's very powerful. The important thing is, can you do it on your own? Can you bring that energy forward when it's just you sitting there? Well, you can, but you have to train, and you have to take it slow, and you have to really, really connect with your spirit guide and let him bring forth your team as they see fit and they're ready, and let that energy build. It's about building it. It's about feeling that within you, holding it, sustaining it, so you emanate it, so that you let other people know that you are love and they are loved with your love. I don't care if it's your worst enemy. When you arrive at high earth, you don't have any more enemies. You're just appreciative of where everybody is, because it doesn't matter anymore. The ego stuff has dissipated. You have connected, and now you're connected on a deeper level. You've connected above, so the card of the magician, so it is above and so it is below. You have connected on so many different levels, and we can all do this. And again, I'm going to refer back to Audrey's talk. You have mentors. You have the ability to have mentors, but you have to find the right one for you. You have to have the one who's going to be dedicated to you, to walk you down the trail So when you get to the tree, you have those tools. You need somebody who is as much enthralled with this work that they're willing to share their whole bag of tricks with you as you start to unfold. You can't ask them to dump the whole basket on your table so you can cherry pick through what you want, because you're not prepared for everything that they have to teach you. And understand that sometimes people teach us by their adverse reactions or their adverse behavior or the adverse situation stemming from your relationship. And I'm telling you this because I connected with my spirit team. I was completely connected, and I got sick in 2012 and I disconnected and I started to reconnect. And my son taught me to dig a little deeper when he died. He gave me a gift that's almost too much, because I thought he gave me the gift of connecting on a deeper level than I could have ever possibly done without his death. And I get to connect with all of you on that same level. It is not always easy to go through those painful transitions, but you have to bless and thank the person that got you through it. You got to thank the ones that were there loving you as you processed. Because sometimes the person who's the most in pain is the one that shows up with this smiling face while they're just screaming inside, I got to get out, I got to get out. And they go home and they just shut down because they're processing. So understand that we're here, all of us, to teach each other the beauty of that high earth, that beauty of that connection of earth, of each other, of everything that we do. So as I continue my walk on my path, I hope you'll come and join us. See who might be your mentor, your teacher, your path, who might be able to encourage you to your next highest step. From all of us here at Resident Essentials, we love you and we want you to be a part of our community, as you will. Know that I will be thinking of all of you. Lance's death anniversary is coming up on August 3rd, and so I will be doing a celebration, another celebration of his life, but this one a little different than I have in the last two. I will be eternally grateful for how much he loved me when he let go. Remember, our blessings are all about what we give each other, and what the blessing is what we learn from it. My heart to all of yours. You guys have a wonderful weekend. Bye for now.